We start this vid with a wee look at my finances, as some of you out there have been asking for a wee update, and we're sat at 4.1 million and 100% of that is available to us as transfer funds, and our main source of income is still players being sold, which I'm still kinda doing in the background and showing you every so often when we get a big fee for someone, and the gate receipts so far this season are increasing rather nicely. Right, back to the football. After that 1-1 draw with Hearts, just 3 days later we are facing off against Partizan at home. And no, I have no idea why the Hearts game took place on a Monday either. Oh, actually, before we get to that game, Villa Magic 82 commented saying, check out Maxim Tsigalko, I think that's how it's pronounced. And I do, and sadly he has been snapped up by Juventus, and what a player he is. You can get him at the start of the game from Dynamo Minsk for fairly cheap by the looks of it if you're a small-ish side. I don't know if you will have a problem with the work permit though, I've no real idea as I've never signed him before. Okay, back to the football for realsies this time, against Partizan. And as you would assume correctly, I've made quite a few changes off the back of that Hearts game. We have Hislop in goal, a back four of Grondin, Phillips, Hancock and Jonsson. Our midfield is Falch, Kilberg and Whitley. And up front we have Fabrini, Barbosa and Tumba. Really glad I went with a big squad this season, as the SFA weren't doing us any favours it seems in the lead up to this match. As you might have seen on the fixture list earlier, we had Aberdeen on the Saturday, then just 2 days later we had Hearts on the Monday, then just 3 days later on the Thursday we have this game. So thanks very much SFA, and thank you very much Jonsson for putting us ahead 7 minutes in, and our right back heads home to make it 1-0. I'm not really a fan of completely changing the back four, but needs must because of the fixture list there. And our right back serves as well in doing so. Also gives, this game kinda actually gives us a chance to feature some of our squad players, as every SPL game so far feels like a must win, especially with Celtic and Rangers chasing us, and to a lesser extent Dundee United in the SPL. So I haven't really had a chance to rotate the squad, and it can make players unhappy if they don't feature in games for quite a while. Although in Champman it doesn't happen as often as it does Football Manager. And we do have a second, I'm just pausing there to make sure it does count, don't want to celebrate too early, and Tumba puts us 2 ahead. We seem to be dominating this game, it's actually seems quite easy so far. Yeah, so what was I saying? I can't remember now. I should really stop recording these gameplay vids so early in the morning. Fabrini puts us 3-0 up, our captain right on half time. Scoring the third, we've been extremely clinical in front of goal, 4 shots, 4 on target and 3 goals. Our players are playing very well. Just at 4,500 today at the game. Have our fans, like myself, treating this competition a little bit blasé at the moment. Lost some of its sheen because of the SPL and competing for a Champions League place for next season. Maybe, as we've been averaging between 5,000 to 6,500 at home games in the SPL. That's a very low turnout today. Quite disappointed with that. Anywho, oh yeah, before I forget, Mr. G. McPherson, no, that's too obvious. A Mr. Gary M contacted me on Facebook to tell me a random fact about Partizan Tirani. So a wee bit story time here. Partizan Tirani from Albania was still a communist state, and everyone had to be easily identifiable to ensure there were no Western spies. We have just conceded a goal. I blame that on Gary Lazovic. His name seems familiar. Oh, what a player. Back to the story. Meaning that beards were against the law. As a result, the Albanian Interior Ministry tried to force Danny McGrain to shave off his beard when Celtic arrived in the country. Danny promptly told them to f*** off. Yes, so I don't know if that's actually true. I'm just taking that as gospel. It doesn't, I know Gary personally, it doesn't seem like one to lie, and he has a fountain of knowledge of Celtic useless facts, really. So yeah, thanks Gary for contacting me and letting me know about that. 3-1, made some subs, just took off a couple of players who were tiring and one booking, as I always worry about second yellow cards. Can we maybe get a fourth though? I would be very happy getting a fourth goal. I mean, I think it's still quite comfortable for the second leg if we go on with a 3-1. But I would be a lot happier with a fourth, and by the looks of things it will end 3-1. Or maybe not. Still going. Ah, there we go. 3-1. Yeah, that was fine, that was alright. I feel comfortable about the second leg. Tumba getting man of the match. Nice. Rounding off our total of 4 games in 8 days, we are at home to Kilmarnock in the league. Celtic and Dundee United faced off against each other yesterday, drawing 0-0, which means if we win today we can go 5 points ahead of Celtic. I field what has become my usual first 11 in the league. This time we have D'Amico coming back in the DMC role, however, after he had about a month's layoff due to injury. We go on to win the game rather easily, 4-0, Millier scoring twice and Kjellberg and Padelidis getting a goal apiece against the eventual 10-man Kilmarnock. So we are indeed 5 points ahead of Celtic on the same amount of games, and we just need to hope that St Mirren can get a result against Rangers. And they don't, Rangers winning 2-0, so they are still breathing right down our necks. Next weekend we are away to Inverness Cali Thistle, and what's this? Rangers are now first. Well, they played a game midweek. We are now second with the 1 game advantage. I'm not too happy about that. I make one change from the last fixture, Grondin coming in for Johansson. Grondin's performance has been very good, so he's now upgraded to the first choice team. And he repays that faith almost immediately, grabbing a goal. We run out eventual 4-0 winners, Tumba scoring twice and Grondin and Millier getting a goal apiece. The bad news is Rangers won their game, so they're still top of the league, but Celtic and Dundee United drew their games, which means we've opened up further a gap between us and 3rd and 4th place. It's time for the second leg match against Partizan, and I almost completely overhaul the first 11. Just Shaka Hislop, Kjellberg and Barbosa remaining from the last fixture. And our young Scottish striker Barlow really impresses during this match, scoring a hat-trick, and we run out 3-0 winners and 6-1 overall on aggregate. Back in Scotland, we are facing off against 3rd place Dundee United, so this is a big-ish game. I field the team that thumped Cali Thistle, and I would usually watch a fixture like this on the video, but we've faced off against Dundee United so much over the course of these episodes, let's just skip to the end of the match. And it was actually a pretty decent match, probably should have watched it. Tumba gets a hat-trick, and Hasselgaard getting a goal there as well, and we run out 4-2 winners. But we need Rangers to drop points in their game, and they do not. They are on some winning streak at the moment, so they remain top. We are second, and behind us Dundee United and Celtic still, with an even bigger gap between us and Dundee United. Who will we get in the 3rd round UEFA Cup draw? I'm kinda hoping for maybe an English team, that'd be interesting, but no, Spartak Moscow. What is it with us in Eastern European teams this run? Yeah, I don't really know much about Spartak Moscow during this time. Oh, Rebrov, is this must be after he went to, yeah, it's after his Tottenham run. I recognise him. Don't really recognise any of their other players. I'll check out their star players. Decent goalkeeper. Yeah, decent defender, actually, very good. Bystrov, kind of recognise his name. But yeah, another Eastern European team. Okay, teams are starting to sniff around and bid for my players. Haute Jonsson getting a bid of 130,000 here from Livingston, but that's nowhere near what I would sell him for, and I don't really need to sell him as I've got enough money in the bank, so we'll do an exchange and hope they bid $1 million. And that kind of reminds me of what I kind of do at this point of the season, and that is go to the Swedish leagues and check out their teams, because their league has finished. There's players who have relegation release clauses and minimum fee clauses and all that, so it's worth checking them out, as there's quite a few players and they always seem to be pretty decent. So yeah, check that out if you haven't already. It's time for what I feel is the big fixture of this video, and it's against Rangers at Ibrox in the league. Is it a title decider? No, not quite, but it could really help in the momentum for the title. Our first 11 is the exact same first 11 we have fielded in the last 3 SPL fixtures, bringing us victory in every one of those games. Hopefully be able to bring us some points from this game. 1 point would even suffice, really, as our first fixture against Rangers in the SPL, they defeated us 2-1 and we were at home. We do not want a replay of that game. First 11 minutes and it just seems to be all Rangers, and Barry Ferguson scores, apparently in style. And I am raging. Come on. Zenden, remember him? Yeah, Kevin Phillips starts today for Rangers. Rangers have been on some run, by the way. They started the season very poorly. I'm pretty sure, didn't they drop points their first 3 games? They were near the bottom anyway after like the first 4 or 5 games. And I was thinking, oh great, like, so it'll be Celtic I'll be up against really, and Rangers will have to make up those points. Well, make up those points they did, as I'm fairly sure they have been on an undefeated, unbeaten run since those 3 games. They've won every single game, I'm sure. And it doesn't help when the fixture list has been weird for me. Half time and not a lot's actually happened this game. Yeah, I said earlier, I'm not too happy about Rangers having played one more game than us. We're in Europe, they're in Europe, different competitions obviously. But why are they now playing one game ahead of us? We're needing to play catch up. I don't know. I'm just 2-0 Kevin Phillips. That's it. Right, changes. I'm going back to my tried and trusted 4-4-2, because we don't seem to be doing anything against Rangers today with the iodine tactic. So back to the Tipani, just for this second half. Don't worry, I'm not completely changing the tactic just because of one poor game. I think that'll do. I don't really have the wingers anymore, as I did get rid of them at the start of the season, but we've still got a makeshift 4-4-2. Oh, Tumba coming close. And coming close again, and if Kloss would just let a goal in, that would be lovely. We actually do seem to be doing a little bit better since switching to the 4-4-2, so maybe the 4-4-2 is the way to go against Rangers. Back onto my rant about the SFA in this game. The fixture list, yeah, they're giving Rangers the advantage. Surely, everyone can see that. Everyone with a tinfoil hat on can see that. Rangers pushing forward again. Mark Kerr pulling the strings in midfield. Phillips. What happened there? Phillips shoots, Hislop saves, and the rebound falls back to Phillips, and he puts it away. Our defenders clearly just doing nothing, no reaction from them. See, switching to the 4-4-2, I'm now struggling to see, can I make a change but keep the 4-4-2, so I'm needing to find players who can play the wing roles. Yeah, I forgot Fabrini's playing up front. Hasselgaard's just a straight swap for him. I don't know why we're struggling there. Match rating, everybody's been shit. And yeah, we'll probably just see out this the rest of the 15 minutes. try not to concede another, and maybe even grab a consolation goal. With 6 shots, just a 1 on target. Poorest I think we've been in a long time, maybe ever actually. It's getting very hard to hide my disdain for my own team's performance, as well as my disdain for the Rangers fans who are no doubt mocking me right now. Ooh. Yeah, I just want this game over, ref. Not a huge turnout, 43,000, just under 44,000. But then again, I don't exactly carry a huge away support. So, Rangers, by the looks of things, yep, final whistle. Easily defeat us. And further, Kevin Phillips getting man of the match, 2 goals, and further break away ahead of the pack. And are now 5 points clear of myself, although we still have that one game in hand. Celtic are now 3rd and 7 points behind us. Livingston come back in for Johnson with an ever so slightly increased offer of 150,000, which I of course reject. Yeah, reason, it was a paltry offer. Right, can we shake off that really disappointing Rangers defeat and get back to winning games in the league against St Mirren? And there is just one change from that Rangers game, and that is Barlow coming in for Tumba, giving Barlow a wee shot up front, as every time I field him he's been really good, so yeah, why not? And he doesn't disappoint. We go on to win 5-0, Barlow and Millie getting a brace apiece, and Fabrini topping the scoreline off with a goal. A great bounce back and home performance in front of almost 6,500 fans, and St Mirren didn't even manage a shot on target. Celtic and Dundee United aren't done leapfrogging each other, as Celtic drop points once again, drawing at home, and Dundee United win their game, so Dundee United are now 3rd. And yes, of course, Rangers still winning all their games, defeating Hearts 3-2, and so remains them at the top. And let's top off this video with the first leg of our UEFA Cup tie with Spartak Moscow. Lots of changes from our last fixture. We have Hislop in goal, a back 4 of Johansson, Phillips, Hancock and Johnson, midfield of Falch, Kjellberg and Whitley. Up front we have Fabrini, Barbosa and Barlow. Barlow probably starting for the first time ever in back-to-back games for us. If not that, first time in a long time since he's done that, as he just keeps scoring every time I field him. And speaking of scoring, Fabrini has put us 1-0 up within 6 minutes here in Moscow. We already have an away goal. Our performances so far have been excellent in the UEFA Cup. We haven't had even one bad half, never mind one bad game. It seems not caring as much about the UEFA Cup is working very well for us so far. It's just the 3rd round, mind you, and we're not even halfway through the first half of the first leg against Moscow, and I'm already counting my chickens, getting a wee bit ahead of myself. Or am I? As Barlow heads home, I think it was a header anyway, heads home to put us 2-0 up here in Moscow. It's all going wrong for Spartak Moscow, and it's all going right for us. We seem to be absolutely all over them. I would have expected it to be colder. 5 degrees Celsius here in Moscow. And we have a 3rd, Kjellberg, getting in on the action. And we're 3-0 up within 25 minutes. What is going on with the Spartak Moscow defence? Or maybe Barlow is just so good, he's disrupting that defence so much, grabbing a goal himself and making space for others. Oh, Barlow coming close again. Yeah, probably exaggerating a wee bit on the behalf of Barlow, but he has been really impressive these past few games, and he is going to give me a wee bit of a headache, a nice wee headache right enough, on whether to start with him or Tumba in the SPL games. Yeah, everything's going exceedingly well so far here in Moscow, with an attendance of 31,429. probably around 30,000 of those people are absolutely livid at what they're seeing right now. Maybe think about making some subs. Fabrini I think's tiring. Yep, get our captain off. Straight swap for Hasselgaard. We'll put Tumba on for Barlow, give Tumba a wee bit of game time. Maybe even have Barlow resting for the SPL game coming up next. Need to wait and find out in the next video, I guess, to see who I go with. Just see this one out. Every time I go, or even think about just being safe and seeing it out, and before I even have a moan at my team, they answer the reply straight away, and Tumba goes up and scores again, giving me that wee headache for who to start with in the most important games, or what I deem the more important games. 4-1 up here at Spartak Moscow, and this tie's done. Basically, I can play whatever in the second leg and it should be enough to get us through. Played very well, stats actually a bit even, although yeah, the player ratings tell a different story. Oh, and Celtic won 1-0 at Blackburn. If you're enjoying this series, then please give the video a little like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you wish to hear my thoughts on video games and TV and movies, then you can also follow me on Twitter at PoloMint Peeper. Thanks for watching.